Alex and Leila Hormozi invited me out to a 2-day exclusive scaling mastermind at acquisition.com. So here we are in Las Vegas, ready to go. Okay, so that's a lie. I paid to attend, but I still went to Vegas. I still went to the acquisition.com HQ and learnt some serious shit. So I flew out with my wife Amy, we stayed at a lovely hotel called the Bellagio, and we had a couple of days to kill before the scaling mastermind was taking place. So firstly, we went shopping and we had a couple of drinks. Now unfortunately for Amy, I didn't buy her the YSL bag, so I'm sorry about that. But I did go and get a couple of content to clients caps made. A friend has just whipped up the design in like 2 minutes. First ever piece of content to clients merch. Not bad. What do you reckon? And after the caps, we decided we wanted more caps. So we decided to go and put a cap in your ass with some guns.
There you go. That's what you shot. Sights here? Yeah.
Fucking hell.
On the bullseye.
Oh my god. Fucking hell.
Do you want to try automatic?
Fear and loathing in Las Vegas.
Day 2, we went for a few drinks and we went gambling. Now I don't gamble at all. Don't gamble at home. Probably gambled like 3 times in my entire life. But when in Vegas, I decided to draw out, $200? We FaceTimed my stepson and asked him black or red. He said red. He should have said black. He's not getting any Christmas presents this year. So we walked around a bit. It felt really surreal to smoke a cigar indoors.
Tastes like shit.
And we also saw someone getting arrested, which was pretty cool. Not for him though. Day number 3, and it was finally time to head over to acquisition.com HQ. I was fangirling like mad. I had to calm down. I don't know how many of you know this, but the acquisition.com building is actually the old UFC headquarters, and Leila Hormozi sits in the old office of Dana White, which just makes it all the more special being a combat sports fan. So we had about a 2-hour session with Neil, who's the portfolio operating partner for acquisition.com. My most important takeaway are the 5 types of risk that are associated with your business. Essentially, you want to minimize the risk and increase the value as a business, how to be a great CEO. We talked about value adders, and then we talked about value subtractors. And the value subtractors basically mean risk. They're talking a lot about Uncle Warren today, which is great. But those 5 types of risk, there's single man risk, where everything is reliant either on you as the business owner or it's reliant upon a key member of staff or team. There's key client risk, where let's say one client leaves and it would impact more than 20% of your overall revenue. That means you have a client risk issue. There's single channel risk, where you're not diversifying the number of channels that you have. So over 70% of your marketing or of your leads comes from one place. That could be ads, could be referrals, could be LinkedIn, whatever. There's market risk, which essentially means you're selling to the wrong market. And that could be loads of things. It could be a shrinking market. It could be that there's too much competition. It could be that it's not profitable to sell to those types of people. And then I think the most important one, and they were getting people to put their hands up, is data risk. Are you operating from a data orientated perspective? Most people, most small business owners are going with their gut. They're acting emotionally, whereas data allows you to make much more calculated decisions. So I made loads of notes, absolutely loads, probably about 20 pages, but the data risk essentially is not knowing your numbers, manual record keeping. If you're running your business on fucking Google Sheets, that was a big takeaway for me. Lots of small business owners are pulling data manually all the time, week after week, doing the same shit. Whereas if you can actually push data using automations, that's going to have a massive effect on the time that you're saving, but also the data that you have. We're about to go back in. I don't know what's coming up. The agenda hasn't really been published. We should be meeting Alex and Leila today, or maybe tomorrow. I don't know. But hopefully I can get a bit of footage of that. Sneaking footage where I can, but the guards in here have got guns, so I probably shouldn't. After lunch, it was time for 2 presentations from the main people themselves, Alex Hormozi and Leila Hormozi. So firstly, Leila came on and she talked about one thing, and that was hiring team and creating leverage. And she reframed hiring to be the same as selling. You need a compelling offer for potential candidates. You need to showcase the benefits. Any ad that you put out or any creative you put out should call out the ideal audience and speak to them on their terms, just like you would if you were trying to sell something. What wasn't helpful to hear was me getting told off by Leila for taking a picture of her while she was on stage. I think she forgave me. Then the main man himself came on and he talked a lot about implementation. And the definition of learning is the speed at which you implement things. Because if you consume something and do nothing with it, you've literally learnt nothing. Alex then talked a lot about eliminating his face from gym launch to make it a sellable asset. And he talked about lots of outbound activity. And obviously outbound activity is something we help our clients with. My background is B2B sales, so I know a lot about the cold calling and reaching out and things like that. But he was actually going out there and building large scale teams. One key metric he referenced a lot was lifetime value of customers. And he said the best thing that you can do is increase the lifetime value of a customer, which then allows you to spend more to acquire customers. He also said if you sell fewer things, you have to deliver or fulfill fewer things, which just makes the whole concept of business a lot easier. I speak to a lot of people who've got like 7 offers on the table. No wonder their audience is confused. No wonder they're confused as well. And he rounded off the day with a pretty hard-hitting quote. Everyone's trying to get bigger. Just try to get better. Because when you get better, you get bigger by default. Powerful shit. Hence why we flew straight back and I'm now ripping up content to clients and building version 4.0. But yeah, a brilliant day. I wasn't feeling great at the end of it, so I went straight back to the hotel and slept for like 10 hours in prep for day 2. Yesterday, mental, so many takeaways. I don't really know where to start apart from there's about a million things I need to fix in my business. I had a chat with Leila yesterday. She told me a couple of things that I needed to do with regards to hiring, which was fantastic. She was really, really nice. Didn't meet Alex, but he's around today. I'm gonna have a chat with him and they've put a good offer on the table for everyone. A very expensive offer to come back and have some much more focused time. So I'm just weighing that up in terms of logistics as well, but can't film inside, but I will try and sneak a couple of bits of footage while I'm there. Now, day 2 of the Mastermind was even better than the first, probably 5 times as good. We had intimate roundtables with some key members of the acquisition.com team. And there were a lot of takeaways I got from these. I made like, I don't know, 50 pages of notes or something like that. First roundtable we had was with Paul Nunez, who's the director of marketing. Now, Paul talked a lot about email and landing pages. Firstly, with email, he mentioned it's possibly the lowest cost channel to use and maintain. And I asked him about his criteria for landing pages as well. And he said the best way to get the conversion rate higher is to have less elements on the page. Looks like we're ripping up our 12 scroll landing pages and starting again. After that was Caleb, who's head of brand or director of brand for acquisition.com. Now, I've seen Caleb about before. He's worked with Gary Vee, so I was super hyped to actually get to speak to him one-to-one. He obviously talked a lot about content, and he said that day in the life or a day in the life of style content is really, really hard, and it's much better to reverse engineer it. He advised to go back in time and take a look at your content from the past week, past fortnight, past month, and then you can just document interesting things that have happened. And we've all got stuff in our calendar that's just happened that we can document. You know, it might be something funny that's happened, might be a problem, might be questions that you keep getting asked. But it was good to hear how simple their use case for content was. And another thing that I say a lot, and it was great to hear Caleb reinforce, was quantity over quality. It's counterintuitive. Everyone thinks they've got to have the highest quality content. But he said putting out quantity, i.e. lots of content, allows you to find out what your audience determine as quality. He also spoke about building creative teams, which is something he's done incredibly well. At the start, best to hire a creative generalist rather than someone who's specifically creative in one specific area. I've just put together a 13-minute free training showing you the 5 secrets to hit 5-figure months using LinkedIn. But I'm not giving it away for free for long because I'll sober up soon. So if you want to find out how you can start hitting 5-figure months using only organic content on LinkedIn, then hit the link under this video and you can download it for free. Anyway, back to the vid. After this, we spoke to Lindsay Barber, Customer Success Director. I asked her about reducing TTV, or time to value. Essentially, how quick your clients or customers get a win once they've joined or started working with you. And she put this down to one thing: communication. Communicating with your clients as much as possible. She also said improving the process and the communication between the sales team and the client success team is super crucial as well. Most companies will call this a handoff, so sales will hand it off to client success, but acquisition.com call it a handshake. And the key thing here being that notes are taken really, really well during the sales process to allow the client success to have an easier time and optimize the journey for the customer. After this, we spoke to Jacob, Director of Sales, and he talked about sales culture. He's created a culture where they start meetings with 2 things: shout outs and data. And I love this, really, really strong. He also said that he won't pitch someone until he knows he can close them. And he said if there's ever any kind of feeling that he might not be able to close, he uses a push technique to sort of gauge their interest. And that goes something along the lines of, I don't think we've got time to go through this all on this call, but should we schedule something for next Tuesday? And ultimately then, the prospect will be able to say yes or no, and that will tell him whether it's worth pursuing or not. Next up was Neil, the Portfolio Operating Director. Really, really clever guy. He spoke about offers and pricing, and he said too many pricing options and too many offers confuses people. And he spoke to the fact that you should have 2 max. 2 offers, 2 price points each, absolute max. And then he started to talk about making more money, making more profit. And he said what most businesses try to do when they want to make more money is go straight to cutting expenses. But to counteract that, he said the best lever you can pull is just to increase your prices. Sounds simple, but we're all probably guilty of it. Undercharging. The next thing is to increase the efficiency of your marketing, aka getting more bang for your buck, especially if you're in the ad space. The next is to increase customer value, upsells, downsells, side sells, diagonal sells, whatever. And then the last thing you should do when you're looking at trying to be more profitable is cutting expenses. People go to that first because it's the easiest thing to do. It just eliminates shit. Our final roundtable was with a chap called Ben Rodman. He's the MD of Business Development. Really nice guy, but I didn't actually take any notes for some reason. However, there were 2 things I remember him saying. There was one guy who was sat with us at the roundtable who had a 12-month program but offered 24-month payment terms. And he was asking why people weren't paying the full amount. And the one thing I remember that Ben said, which I really liked, was how much brain damage are you willing to endure? And it was a great question. Next, it was time for the big man himself. Monster Q&A. Must have been an hour and a half. And I'm going to save my in-depth notes for my clients, but I do want to give you a few things here. Alex's mantra for what to work on is super, super simple. If it doesn't increase customers, increase lifetime value, or decrease risk, don't do it. Simple as that. He then walked through his more, better, new framework, which I was already familiar with, but it's great because most people, when they don't see immediate success, they just rush to creating a new thing, when in reality, they haven't even stuck around long enough to see if the original idea would have worked or not. So he goes more, better, new. More, i.e., can we just do 10 times more of what we're doing already? Better, why can't we do it 10 times better than we already are? And then new, maybe we should try something new. He's also got a really simple framework for his content where he says just talk about the wins. So past wins like customers, journeys, how I got into what I'm doing, pitfalls, that kind of thing. Present wins like day in the life stuff, calendar things, current takeaways, and then future. Things like industry plans, risks, opportunities, that kind of stuff. And he talked again about the importance of data and how in every business, data should be mandatory. Every single meeting, every single decision should be based on data. Then finally, to round things off, my good old friend Leila did a monster Q&A as well, and this was even longer. She got told to stop by one of the team and she said, no, I'm going to carry on. So really admire her for that. She talked about decision making and what sort of filters to run decisions through in relation to business. Money, energy, ease, impact, and chance of success. If it ticks all the boxes, you know that's probably the right thing to do. She then talked about referrals and how they're one of the easiest and the cheapest way to get new clients. Give your clients the exact messages or copy that you want them to use. You want to reward the referee and the referrer. And if you need to, increase the financial incentive because there's no other costs that come into acquiring that customer. She then talked about another way to increase this lifetime value that they talked a lot about, and that was to pair things up with the initial purchase. So if you just signed up with a paid ads agency, they could say, do you want us to handle the video scripting, the video editing for you? Just increases that LTV. She then talked about her relationship with Alex and the business overlaps and things, which was pretty interesting. And then she hit everyone with a cold, harsh truth. If you can dedicate 9 hours to something, you can probably figure it out, which was super handy because I'm terrified of flying and the flight back from Vegas was about 9 hours. I caught up with her afterwards as well. She gave me a little fist bump, but she gave me some golden advice as well, which I'm going to implement soon. However, I'm not going to give that away in this video. And day 2 is wrapped. That was outstanding. Definitely the best day of the 2. I've filled up pretty much a full notepad of notes that I've got to go and digest. The main takeaway for me was about data and making sure that we're making decisions based on data, not on emotion, which is something I already speak about, but I think I need to work on a little bit harder. The other thing, the main takeaway they wanted you to leave with was around implementing as fast as possible. So identifying the constraint, allocating resources towards solving that constraint and doing it as fast as you possibly can. I did sign up to something else, very secret, while I was there. You'll have to find out a little bit more. I got a secret Acquisition.com cap. It's in my bag somewhere. 10 out of 10. Glad I went. There's a lot of work to do in the business, but it's one thing at a time. I'm prioritizing those things. Anyway, all in all, such a good trip. So fucking good. Most people were cool as hell, particularly the Acquisition.com team. Couple of egos floating around, but it might have just been people who are a bit socially awkward. But overall, an absolute bargain. And I may or may not have bought a cheeky little upsell while I was there as well. But we'll worry about that in another video. Anyway, there are now 600,000 things that I need to go and improve in my business. So if you enjoyed this, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And if you're not already, give me a follow on LinkedIn.